Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Small Screen Cinema with Tabitha and Dad. Yeah, I've been Tabitha's dad most of her life, all of her
Most of
life.
it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no, just most of it.
Okay, so and we both have a great passion for movies. And if you like made for TV movies for network TV that were done in yesteryear, I'm talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s, into the early 90s, you have found the best YouTube channel slash podcast you're ever going to find. And not only that, we are both so dadgum good looking that you have
Well,
the
I mean,
aesthetic portion to look at. So, where do you think you got your looks?
I look exactly like my mom and you know it.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad you don't look like me. Otherwise, you'd have a gray beard, okay? And
Yeah,
your
that's
little
a good
hair.
point.
So,
Ah! Bald! Bald!
Bob. Oh, one of the greatest SpongeBob scenes ever. All right. Tabitha, tell us about the movie that we are going to do today.
All right, today we are doing an early John Carpenter film called Someone's Watching Me, which I got for $7.99 used.
Ooh, wow. I had to watch it on YouTube.
Why I did actually no, I watched it on Tubi.
Yeah, that's what I watched it on Tubi because
Yeah,
I had the commercials. You're right, Tubi.
yeah.
Tubi's awesome.
I mean it kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
You can find so many weird stuff there.
you can find
Hmm.
anything on Tubi. So, all right. Well, tell us about Someone's Watching Me.
Well, Someone's Watching Me was originally written for a theatrical release. Sorry, I'm already drunk. It was a for hire project, meaning that Carpenter didn't conceive of the idea, but he wrote a draft, turned it in, and when he was finally contacted about it, he was told they were going to do it as a telefilm instead, but they offered him a chance to direct. Of the experience, Carpenter said, quote, I thought it was a good idea. So I had my first experience with television and my first union experience. I got into the Directors Guild through that. I had a really good time of it. I have to tell you, I met my wife, Adrienne Barbeau is who he's referring to there. They're no longer married. So, and just a couple weeks after filming on this project wrapped, he would start shooting Halloween.
Now, I know he only got paid $10,000 to do Halloween. Do you know he had to have gotten paid probably more for this movie than he did Halloween.
I don't know. I'm unsure what he got paid for to do this,
Mm,
but I guess it might have been more since Halloween was an independent project.
yeah.
So it's very
And
possible.
what's his name? Donald Pleasance.
Pleasant.
He got 20 grand and he said, I'm only going to film 5 days. And
And all the sequels until
he
I die.
much money, yeah. He did he did good with that. I'll do it for 20 grand and you'll have me for 5 days. Then, oh no, we're
Mm,
gonna have you for years and we're gonna pay you good money after that.
that's right. You're never leaving. What I like about John Carpenter is that he's incredibly talented, and I think it's fair, if maybe a little pompous, to call him an auteur. But he's got such a chill attitude about filmmaking. He approaches his films like as a job, and then the job is done, not really as a work of art. He's just so good at it that they are works of art. And then he's like, yeah, whatever. And I don't know. I just love that about him. He's not up his own ass about himself, you know?
Yeah.
Someone's Watching Me aired on NBC November 29th, 1978. It ran against Eight is Enough on ABC and Nothing on CBS. So you had two choices that night. Choose wisely.
So CBS was just like blacked out.
I guess. I mean, there's the website I use just had a blank block in that time slot. So
Yeah, I think at that time there were times when you had local programming in the evening.
that makes sense. That's probably what it was.
So that makes sense.
Yeah. The film stars Lauren Hutton Adrienne Barbeau, and David Burney. Now, Lauren Hutton started her career as a model, and her first acting gig was in the 1968 film Paper Lion. And she worked pretty steadily for the next couple of decades. She was in American Gigolo, The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, and Zorro the Gay Blade. That sounds fun. As of this recording, Miss Hutton is still with us. David Burney, excuse me, was a working actor who did a ton of television in the 70s up through the 90s. Like he was just on everything. Policewoman, Medical Center, Canon, Hawaii Five-O, Fantasy Island, Murder She Wrote, Sliders, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
And he was
And
in a sitcom called Bridget Loves
was
Bernie. Huh?
Bridget Loves Bernie. I don't know that.
It was him and his wife, Meredith Baxter Burney, at the time, um, when they were married, and they had a sitcom together in the early 70s. And
Huh.
wasn't that good, but it was on.
I was going to say that he was once married to Meredith Baxter, presumably before she came out as a lesbian. Also, I know I bring this show up a lot, but I can't help it. They keep talking about key episodes. He was in the Streets of San Francisco episode where Carl Malden's character Mike goes undercover as a circus clown, and it made me so happy when I saw Carl Malden in full circus gear wielding a gun. Just amazing.
I will have to check that out.
He was also a regular during the first season of Saint Elsewhere, but he left because he had commitments to the Broadway show Amadeus, which feels like he probably should have stuck with St. Elsewhere, but that's just me. He passed away in 2022. And finally, we have Adrienne Barbeau, aka just call me Billy. Everyone does. Creepshow will always and forever be her masterpiece. Meryl Streep could never. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
As I said, she was married to Carpenter for a while, so she's in a lot of his projects around that time, like The Fog and Escape from New York. She was a regular on Maude. I've never watched Maude. She was in
Bog's
Back to
daughter.
School, and she is still working today. We'd be here all night if I ran through all of her credits, but she was on the Amazon Creepshow series a couple of times, which I thought was fun. Even though I didn't really like the show, I thought it was cool that they got her on there. She's done a ton of voiceover work too. She's played Catwoman on Batman the Animated Series, and she is also still with us. That is all the background I have, so let's dig into this movie. We open with some ominous music and a man dialing a telephone. The unseen man looks through the world's largest telescope. I'm pretty sure that's the Hubble telescope that he stole. And a woman answers the phone, and she's clearly frightened of this guy. And she tells him that he's won and she's leaving. He instructs her to go to the window. She declines and said that she's leaving for someplace he will never find her, which gives me flashbacks to "You will never see me again." He addresses the woman as Elizabeth and tells her that no, he will find her. So then we get our opening credits. And after that, we're introduced to our lead. Her name is Lee, and she's checking out a new apartment in LA. She tells the realtor, manager, whatever, this weird story about her man-hunting mother, and then immediately says she lied about all that.
I have a strange sense of humor. I
Yeah,
don't even
but
know if
she,
that's the same humor. That's just bizarre.
right? And she says, don't worry, she's really a normal person. Because, yeah, normal people just lie for no reason like that. But this is not a character trait that's really brought up again. So I don't know. I don't know. And she's really kind of a dick to this guy the whole scene, in my opinion. But hey, she takes the apartment, so I'm sure he's happy. And later, we get a nice shot of her legs while she's unpacking. And what luxury she has. She's got a portable ish TV that she can put right on her nightstand. Wow.
And it's color.
Oh my God. And it's color. She must be a gajillionaire. She's upset about something. She nearly starts to cry while unpacking. She's trying to talk herself up, tell her to cut it out. You know, we've all been there. And then we get a shot from that same telescope's point of view, scanning her building until he finds her. And the next day, she is practicing for a job interview, and then she's on her way down through her building. So we get a pretty good layout down the elevator and through this parking garage. When she pulls out of the garage, we see someone following her. She is going to work at a television station, and it doesn't really seem like it's an interview because the new guy immediately puts her to work.
Yeah. Hey, you're here. You're warm. Get to work.
Right. He sets her down next to Sophie, and it's always weird hearing Adrienne Barbeau talk in a normal voice. I would love this job, by the way. She's directing live television, and well, it wasn't on TV; it was on the jumbotron. But I've done that at certain points during like internships and other stage jobs, and it's really fun. I would love to do that. Let's see. Yeah, but she really doesn't do much. She calls like two or three shots, but that's enough. She gets her job. Sophie shows her new office, and it turns out that she is a lesbian. Lee is very cool about this. And for the late 70s, I was like, great, look at that positive LGBT representation in a movie this old. And that was immediately followed by, oh, she's going to die.
Couple things about that.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, for those of you who are not familiar with Adrienne Barbeau, she was like a sex god from the 70s. I mean, all the guys like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. And they really, really made her look, I don't even know if this is politically correct, uh, butchy. Uh, they gave her a very stereotypical lesbian haircut, and she wasn't wearing much makeup. And I thought, wow, you're really pushing the stereotypical lesbian here on your wife or future wife, right? But the second thing, I know they did that to be a little more progressive and edgy, but they really didn't do anything with the character
No,
other
they
than
didn't.
she's a lesbian. In today's world, I don't even know. They just throw that out of the script. Who cares? But
Mm-hmm.
back then, it was a big deal.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't read her as particularly butch, but I guess for the 70s, that counts as butch.
Well, compared to what she normally looked like,
Mm-hmm.
with the 70s big hair and the makeup looking glamorous, they
Mm-hmm.
toned her down a whole lot for this
Okay,
role.
gotcha. Are you aware of the bury your gays trope in fiction?
No.
Yeah, so that's been a thing since the Hays Code, way back in the 30s, that if you have a queer character, they're probably gonna die for committing the crime of being queer.
Hmm.
It's it's something that media still wrestles with today. And I think it was like 2016, there were like three lesbian characters on major TV shows that got killed off in the same season, and people were understandably pretty pissed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very much a thing. Anyway, Lee gets a phone call in the office, and it is the presumably the guy with the telescope who's been following her. He confirms that she is Lee, and then he hangs up. And she's way more chill about this than I would be. Then they meet their coworker Steve. He just shows up and starts being a complete sleaze, just like hitting on Lee, my guy, not taking no for an answer, saying that he's not going to give up. And I just, why are you like this? Can you tell me what's wrong with you guys? Why are you like this?
I think that some men have such an ego they cannot believe they're being rejected.
Mm,
And so give her time, she will like me because I'm awesome. That's kind of the philosophy that I see that he has.
okay.
Um, and there's a old song by the Red Hot Chili Peppers called "Breaking the Girl," and that's kind of what it was like back then. there used to be the saying that the man chases the woman until she catches him. And,
Mm,
now we know that if she says no, she means no.
yeah.
But
Okay. Yeah.
Steve
So
apparently hasn't heard that story in 1978.
he's just here to be a red herring for a little bit. He kind of vanishes from the movie pretty quickly. And then Lee says she has to take off for her next interview, which confused me because didn't she just get this job?
Yeah, that did confuse me too.
Yeah. Um. Anyway, no matter. When we next see her, she's arriving back to her apartment and she sees that the door is ajar. Yeah, no, I'm leaving and calling the cops from the lobby. But she just kind of flippantly walks in and asks if Mr. Burglar is in there, which I kind of liked about her. She was just kind of like, are you going to jump out at me? Anybody? And I don't know. I just kind of, it was kind of into her attitude. She was charming me at this point, and I liked her line about, would she say something like, I should warn you, I studied with Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
But she sees that her phone's been hooked up and figures that that's all it was, people coming to install her phone, and they didn't shut the door behind her. When she makes a phone call, this was a great shot. The intruder just rushes by and out the apartment door, like behind her. She doesn't
Yeah.
see this
Yeah.
happen. Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I jumped a little bit. I did not remember that part. On the news that night, there is a story about Elizabeth, the Elizabeth from the opening. Um, they say that she jumped from the sixth floor window to her death. So we know that's probably not true, but she's not really paying attention because why would she? Lee gets another call from Steve and once again tells him to piss off. He maybe calls again, but no, he does call again. He calls the second time, and it's like, for God's sake. The phone rings a few more times, but this time when she picks it up, no one speaks to her. This we do see that the stalker, I'll just call him the stalker now, does have her apartment bugged. There's a little listening device on her desk.
And I it's about the size of my mouse, maybe a little smaller,
It's
and
pretty
it's on
big.
and it's attached to a white desk and it's black. I'm thinking certainly one day you're gonna see that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
and
not
this
like
goes on for at least a month, wouldn't you say? And
yeah. So
it reminds me of, and this was used as a joke. I know nobody likes this movie except me, but in the Starsky and Hutch movie, when they're wiring up Huggy Bear to go undercover, and it's this ridiculously huge radio, and then they pull the antenna up and put a shirt on over it. That's immediately what I thought of. So we cut to the stalker just watching her, and we also see that he's recording these phone calls and whatever else goes on to her in her apartment. She still thinks it's Steve and brushes it off. She leaves the room, takes her top off, and we almost get some side boob. It's like just turn around a little more, Lauren. Sometime later, Lee and Sophie have become pretty good friends, and they're coming back to Lee's apartment from the grocery store. Sophie tells her that she's been offered a really great job in Fort Worth. And Lee's just like, no, you can't leave me. You're like my only friend here. Don't leave me with Steve, for God's sake. Sophie goes to put the groceries away while Lee checks the mail and finds something that she thinks is strange. It looks like one of those scam letters that you get sometimes, like a free. This is a free vacation. Just don't read the fine print. And I don't know why she finds it all that weird. Like she reads it out loud and everything. I just would have tossed it.
yeah,
It's like,
and go ahead.
oh, I was just saying, it's like she's put off by things that I find mundane and completely unbothered by things that would freak me out.
I think that the weird thing is that it says that she has an opportunity to win a 6 month vacation. That's called retirement, a six
Fair.
month vacation. So if I get something like that, I'm thinking, I can't take a 6 month vacation. But
Fair.
anyway,
I guess
I found
I
that odd that it was 6 months.
Yeah, I guess I'm just saying I just wouldn't have even opened it, because I'd be like, well, that's junk toss, but fair enough. You're right. 6 months is sus. Alone in her apartment that night, the lights start to dim up and down. She looks outside. It's not happening in any other buildings. And this does set her a little on edge, as it would me.
Real quick, let me throw in that the letter does say that she will be receiving destination presents and
Yes,
are going to give her like hints of where she could be going. So,
yes, you're right.
and if she is, if she, I guess, guesses these correct, whatever she wins or something, I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyway, keep going.
So because that's going on and it's freaking her out, she decides to go out. So she goes out to this bar. She promptly gets hit on by some guy, but at least unlike Steve, he takes the no graciously and walks away. And then a man named Paul catches her eye, and she goes and hits on him.
Yeah, she hits on him. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
I thought this was cute actually. She does this pickup line that honestly might have worked on me. She introduces herself and then she walks away and then she walks right back and says, "Haven't we met before?" And I just thought that was cute.
I've used that once.
Have you really? Did it work?
Darla,
Oh,
I was a wild country and she was across the big dance floor and I start waving to her and she's looking around and I said, come on over here. So she walks all the way around. She says, yes. I said, how you doing? She said, okay. I said, don't we know each other? She said, I don't think so. You ever been to Litchfield? I said, well, yeah, but oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. Oh, that's okay. So yeah. So I guess I had watched this maybe when I was a kid and I just put that in the back of my mind and it popped through. So
that's cute. Too bad it was Darla.
I was gonna say I didn't get a professor though.
Anyway, they hit it off. He's a philosophy professor. They leave the bar together. They're talking a little about themselves. She tells him a story about her mother, but then I remember she's a confessed liar, so I don't know if I believe her. Um, which I would have thought, well, he's a professor, so maybe not. I was gonna say once I hear philosophy, I'm like, oh, so you have no money. But he's a professor, so he does the only thing in philosophy that gets you money, I guess.
Yeah.
He asks if she'll come home with him, and she declines, and he's cool about it. He walks her to her car, and they do have a good night kiss. But again, they're being watched by somebody. He walks away, and she realizes that she didn't give him her number. So she goes to catch up with him, and he's like vanished. It's really weird. There's a very wide open, like, courtyard, and he's just gone, which was weird. We already know he's not the stalker because we haven't seen the guy's face, but we have seen that he does not have dark curly hair. So if they were trying to make me believe that, then they failed.
Okay.
So she gets back to her car and some drunk guy jump scares us by popping up in her window and says, "A hell of a life, ain't it?" And then he stumbles away. It's just, LA, man.
Yeah.
I hated
I've used that for a pickup line too. There's a hell of a line there. Ah, stumble away.
I hated being out in LA at night by myself. I did not enjoy that.
Okay.
The next day, Lee receives a package, and I like how the camera keeps panning back to it like it's gonna move, or explode or something
What did you think of?
with the package.
Yes.
I don't know.
I thought of the Zuni doll and Trilogy of Terror. I was kind of waiting for a knife to
Ah,
come out of it.
knife starts cutting its way out of the package.
I put that in my notes. Ooh, Zuni doll package. So,
um, After she gets the package, like a couple minutes later, she gets another creepy phone call, and the stalker simply says "present number one" and hangs up. So she opens the package, and it is a telescope.
a
Not
nice one, by the way.
It is a nice one, not as big as the creepy guys, but still.
Hey, man, if I have a stalker and they're going to send me a telescope, at least make it a nice one.
If you're gonna have a stalker, at least send me presents. You know,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Most of them just kill you right off the bat. No, I want presents first.
you got to work up to killing me, okay?
Yes.
There's a business card inside from Excursions Unlimited, which is the same place she got that letter from. So I guess that's why she's not too weirded out about it. So she's getting into bed that night. She gets another call. This time the voice says he's checking to see her for if her air conditioning is working before hanging up. And I don't know how she doesn't realize that this is the same creepy ass voice, but she doesn't apparently. The next day the doorman brings I just lost my spot. Hold on. I got it. Okay. The next day the doorman brings her present number 2. The stalker is watching through the telescope while she opens it. And of course, he calls her again because he's in love with the sound of his own voice. And the present is an itsy bitsy teeny weeny red polka dot bikini or matching bra and underwear. I couldn't quite tell. Next scene, somehow, despite it being a whole thing that she didn't give him her number, Paul is over for dinner. I don't know how they found each other again.
I don't know.
Hmm. I don't know why she invited him because she's clearly not in the best mood due to the weirdness going on, but he's very sweet and understanding. Um, he asks her what's wrong, like what's going on. Clearly, you're not totally here right now, and she tells him everything, and he is concerned about it, but he's like, we'll just call it a night. And she reassures him that she does like him. It's just that she gets like paralysis when she starts to like someone, and that is so relatable to me.
Do you get paralysis?
Not literal
Oh,
paralysis,
okay.
like mental paralysis. And I've ghosted so many people. I'm not proud of it. I'm not proud of it, but I didn't want to have awkward conversations, so I just ignored them until they got the hint.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I used to tell people that Tabitha goes on a lot of half dates.
That's true. You could call them that. Yeah. I suffocate so easily. It's a miracle I ever got married. Anyway, they kiss, he leaves. Of course, the stalker calls her again. But he just wants to tell her good night. Oh, that's sweet. This is gonna
Yeah.
turn out okay, I think. The next day, Paul comes
Wait,
to
wait a
visit.
minute.
Oh, sorry.
This is a second straight movie that we've had a terribly offensive word, and I just can't let this one go by either. She looks in the mirror before she goes to bed and she calls herself a bozo. Last week, I had to listen to, oh, what's his name? Richard Boone call someone a ding dong. And now we have a bozo. Yeah, I know. This is network TV. They should not be using names like this.
Well, we should write NBC and tell them to stop airing Someone's Watching Me. And they'll be like, what is that?
So show your grandma watch. Shut up.
So Paul visits Lee at her work the next day and he's done some digging, which they've only gone on one date. I feel like most guys would be like, I don't need this. Bye.
Hey, it's Lauren Hutt.
Fair
So,
enough. Fair enough. He found out that Excursions Unlimited is not a real company. No kidding. He advises her to call the police if it keeps going on, but she can't think of what she would tell them, which is fair because there's one thing I've learned from true crime. It's cops really, really don't want to help you.
I
Her
learned that
office,
from The Simpsons.
that too.
Yeah.
Her office phone rings, but she just ignores it, walks away from it. She goes to have dinner with Sophie, and Lee has told Sophie about everything that's been going on. And Sophie offers to hang around longer if she needs her to, but she insists she's okay. Um, when she leaves, the waitress brings her a bottle of wine from the man at the bar. But when Lee looks, there's no one there. Now, did you go back to see if there was a guy watching her at the bar? Because I did.
I did not. Was there?
I saw someone at the bar, but I didn't see anyone like looking at her.
Hmm.
Like there is a like Death Proof,
Yeah.
the scene where the girls are at the diner and it's the camera is just doing a 360 around them. You do see Kurt Russell at the bar watching them if you look closely.
Okay.
So I was wondering if they did something like that. She asked the waitress what he looked like, and she says, just a man, which, is fair. Men just kind of look alike.
Well, look alike.
I legitimately don't take this as an insult. I think I see you at least 3 times a month, just out sometimes. And it's never you.
Dad!
No, I don't do that.
Oh,
But I'm like, is that dad? Oh, no, it's not.
this is weird. This was in the 90s. I was at Walmart and I looked up and I saw my dad, but he was 20 years younger. He was the dad of my childhood. And I almost like, oh my gosh. Now, my dad lived a couple hours away from me growing up, so I didn't just see him in public. Like, Dad, what are you doing here? What are you in the Belleville Walmart for? Wait a minute, Dad, you're older. You're not my dad. I
You're
thought
not
all
my
this.
dad, I need an adult.
I thought all this, but yeah, for a minute I was like, "What's Dad doing here?"
And you look like your dad, which brings it back around. Men look alike.
It does.
Back at home, another phone call. I would be taking it off the hook at this point, but that's just me. She picks up and he confirms that he sent her the wine. And finally, she does call the police. But like she figured, and like I figured, the cops are like, well, unless he murders you horribly, we can't really help you. So if you die, call us back.
And I like what she said. If he kills me, you'll be the first to know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The lights do the dimming thing again, and she's starting to crack. She's been holding it together for a while now, but this is really starting to get to her. She changes her phone number. The calls keep coming. She's just getting really worn down. She goes to get her mail, and I didn't quite understand this part. There is an envelope full of black and white photos of a naked dead guy.
Yeah,
Unsure.
that's what I wrote down. Question mark, naked person with back to the camera. So I'm thinking they're going to come back to that, but they never really do.
No,
It's like it,
not
and
really.
I do like how the cops say, "Well, you need to keep a log of all this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if it was me, as soon as the cops left, I would have just made up a bunch of stuff and wrote out my own log. Called the next day. Oh, I found the log. I've been
Right.
doing this.
Are you gonna do something now? Yeah.
Yeah.
She gets back upstairs. There's a note taped to her door telling her to meet him in the parking garage. And she grabs a letter opener and marches straight down there. She is fed up with this shit.
I call the police and say, I got this letter. He's going to be there at 11:45. I'm
Right?
keeping my ass in my apartment. You go down there and get him. So,
Yep. Yep. Agreed. She walks down through the garage and goes to the laundry room, which is huge, by the way. Have you ever been in an apartment with a laundry room that size?
but the apartment was huge, though. So I
Fair.
guess a lot of laundry going on there.
I guess, but just so many, man. You had to fight for those washers and dryers when I was in LA, but okay. Um, so she's walking around, she kind of spooks herself and drops the letter opener down a grate. Um, and she tries to grab it, she can't reach it. She lifts the grate and actually crawls down there to grab it. But just as she does that, she hears footsteps. So she puts the grate back in place, and then a man stands right over her. I don't know how you don't notice there's a person down there, but okay, he doesn't notice her.
Yeah. And he knows he's on a grate because he drops a cigarette down the grate right on
Yeah,
top of her. But she doesn't get burnt.
right.
He doesn't say, ah, ooh, ooh, doesn't do any of this. I guess she's impervious to cigarette burns.
I guess I thought that too. I'm like, didn't that hurt at least a little bit?
Oh, and this part was so 70s. She is a chain smoker. She smokes in almost every scene.
I have that written down somewhere that, geez, this woman smokes a lot. I know it was the 70s, but dang. So He walks away and she almost immediately gets out. I would have stayed down there for about 5 hours to make sure he was gone, but that's me. She leaves the laundry room and she runs into another guy, who might be the stalker. It's not, but she doesn't know that. She pushes back to she pushes past him, runs back home. And there's another note saying that they just missed each other. She gets Paul to come over and she just starts crying. Like the stress is just getting too much for her. Paul says he's going to go to the police, implying that they'll listen to a man. Don't worry about that.
Me have penis, they will listen.
He's probably right, you know.
Why should I listen to you? Well, let me drop trowel. There you go.
Oh, well, that's different. Why didn't you say so? So the stalker is listening as Paul and Lee start to do the no pants dance. And again, we almost get side boob. So this is a very exciting movie on many levels.
I thought we got full boob. Oh, that was Paul. I'm sorry.
We did get to see Paul's boobs, so we're lucky there. The next morning, he is rushing out the door because he has class. And I'm like, yeah, sure, you have class. Um, but no, he's not like that. He genuinely does have class. He's cool. And then we get this weird POV shot, which I only think is weird because we haven't done it thus far. And it doesn't lead to anything like scary, you know? Like Carpenter will use this to great effect in Halloween, but it's just this particular shot was weird to me. She's just going through her closet. Stalker calls again and says that he likes her better without the robe. So she runs and hides in her bathroom. This poor woman. Paul still shows up for her. Like I said, he's not a jerk, but he says it might be a good idea if she moves. She says she's not going to let him run her out of her home or her life, which good for her. And the guy would probably follow her anyway.
I would have moved before he would have. You should move, you think?
I mean, I would have already moved, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but if he's watching her all the time, he's gonna know where she's moving, you know? So I guess what's the point, really?
Not if she wears an invisibility cloak.
Good
Hmm.
call. I hadn't thought of that.
Little
She
Harry
gets
Potter callback. The only thing I remember about Harry Potter.
well, we we don't do Harry Potter anymore in this house now that J.K. Rowling is a horrible human being. We give her no
Hmm.
money.
Okay. Like she needs
Um,
more, but anyway, go ahead.
True, but she's using it for bad things
Oh,
in the
yeah.
UK. Anyway, she gets Paul and Sophie over to her apartment and they speculate which window the stalker is watching her from. Because across the street is just another apartment building. And this part is very like rear window. And Sophie's not being very comforting, I must say. She's kind of treating the whole thing kind of lightly at the moment. The doorman brings up another letter from Excursions Unlimited saying that she doesn't qualify for the free trip after all. And the only course of action is removal. So Paul takes her to see the police. And once again, he's like, you're still alive. I told you not to come here unless you're dead. I can't help you while you're still alive.
Yeah, this Officer Hunt, that
Mm-hmm.
is Paul's friend, is a real dick.
Oh,
I,
yeah, he
I
is.
don't mean detective. He is a jerk.
Yeah,
He kind of chews her out for not having any evidence except gifts, notes, and calls.
yeah, he treats her like an annoyance the whole time.
If I
The
have a
whole
shell
movie.
casing with words written on it, like I shot at Lee, then that would be evidence. Was that a thing in the 70s? I don't know.
No idea. Um, this part, he says if he calls again, blow a whistle into the phone, which is the same advice that the cop gives Carol Kane at the beginning of When a Stranger Calls.
That's where I've heard it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's like, "No, you need to come help me." Yeah. Anyway, so Lee, Paul, and Sophie go out to get plastered. Sophie's decided to take the job in Fort Worth. Lee still doesn't want her to go. They all go back to her apartment, but before the three-way can commence, the phone rings again. He tells her to look through the telescope. So they look across the street and they see the man that she ran into in the garage, who also has a telescope seemingly aimed right at her. This is definitely a red herring, as I've said, but the cops actually do show up and arrest the guy, which is how you know this is a fantasy. They bring him in for questioning. The man insists he didn't do anything, he was stargazing. And then this made me laugh. I guess his punishment was getting banished to Des Moines. I
I,
didn't know that was a punishment the law could hand down.
yeah, the police in LA can just say, "Hey, you're going to Des Moines, and there's nothing you can do about it." You know,
Des Moines
it's
is
like,
packed with prisoners.
oh yeah, yeah, nobody wants to go to Des Moines. It is a terrible, terrible place full of ex-LA stalkers. I mean, it's rough.
Right? It just was so funny and so specific. I'm like, yeah, I ran him out of town. He's in Des Moines. We saw him get on the plane to Des Moines. I'm like, okay, you don't have to be that harsh on him, but all right.
Plane wasn't even going to Des Moines. We put a parachute on him and they threw him out over Des Moines because
I
nobody wants to land in Des Moines.
mean, I can't imagine a worse punishment myself. So Lee is relieved at this point. She thinks it's all over, but don't worry, there's still 30 minutes left in the runtime. So her relief is short lived. She gets another letter from Excursion Unlimited saying that removal will soon commence. She tells Hunt, and he's like, it's fine. Stop being hysterical. He probably just sent the letter before we sent him to Des Moines. Stupid woman with your ovaries and whatnot. Shut up.
Gotta let this thing go.
Right? God. So she looks through her telescope again, and this time she catches the real stalker with that big ass telescope. And then Sophie jump scares her because we don't knock or announce ourselves in these movies. Um, oh, I wrote this down wrong. I wrote Des Moines when I meant Fort Worth. She's about to catch a plane to Fort Worth to start her new job, which in lesbian means it's 3 days till retirement. So Paul is in San Francisco at the moment, and Lee knows that the police aren't going to take her seriously. And I just realized I have Sophie's necklace. 1 second.
Okay.
No, I was going to wear this and then I forgot about it.
Boing. I was
This,
doing the Jeopardy themes.
I hear you. This necklace with the moon and star. Sophie is wearing that, but she's got a metal chain with it. This is hard to find. I have it because this is a necklace that Hutch wears frequently on Starsky and Hutch. And some other fans did some detective work and figured out that a local place in Southern California makes those and they still make them. So I got on their website specifically and paid $50 for that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when I saw her wearing that, I was like, oh my God, that's Hutch's necklace and mine.
Good.
So I thought that was
Wow.
cool. Um, where was I? Yeah. Anyway, so Lee grabs some walkie talkies and a knife and tells Sophie that she's going over to the other apartment to find the guy. The guy's apartment is completely dark. Lee gets there. She's able to turn the lights on. She finds the telescope and the recorder. Sophie urges her to leave, but she finds a notebook with a log for every time he's called her. Great. Now leave. But instead, she just starts playing with the telescope for some reason. And what do you know? The stalker goes to Lee's apartment where Sophie is. This is what I was talking about. This is her punishment for being gay. It's in the Bible. Somewhere after the Adam and Eve stuff. It's in there, trust me. Lee sees Sophie being attacked and stands up there for about a year watching it until she runs over to try and help her. Of course, by the time she gets back, Sophie's gone, the stalker's gone. Thanks a lot, Lee. The cops come and search the apartment, which is not actually the stalker's apartment. It's some guy who's been like out on business for months.
Yeah.
So this guy, whoever he is, has just been squatting there. And they say, no, Sophie went to Fort Worth, stupid. Because sure, the stalker probably let her go and then she went to catch her plane without saying anything. That makes sense. But the cops don't believe any of this happened.
Yeah,
So
and when they get to the apartment, all the equipment is gone.
true,
And
true.
I don't know how if these were the slowest cops at getting there, or if this guy is super fast at getting this heavy equipment out of the apartment. But
Right? That would have taken at least 2 trips
oh yeah,
to,
yeah, that
to
would
get all
take a
that stuff out. Yeah. Anyway, um, yeah, so they don't believe any of this happened. They're like, we sent him to Des Moines. What else do you want, sugar tits?
hey
God.
Mel Gibson.
So she's feeling pretty defeated. She goes back to her apartment to find the shower running and a note on the mirror saying, no one believes you. As again, as you were saying, this guy must be super fast. I'm picturing him like out of breath writing this sign on the mirror. Um, so yeah, this is like this is frustrating as a viewer and as a woman because nothing changes. People still refuse to believe women, and then they wonder why they don't come forward when they're attacked, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because they just suffer a whole separate kind of hell if they try to get help. Anyway, the phone rings again and she knocks the desk over and she finally discovers the bug in her apartment. So
The
she
bug.
takes
The big Mike. So,
the ginormous bug that she really shouldn't have missed until now. Yeah.
yeah.
So she takes off with one of the walkie talkies in the front seat, and the stalker starts speaking to her, tells her that Sophie's dead, and then he plays back Sophie's screaming. Paul's back in town, and when she goes to meet him, she asks, do you still believe me? And he says he does, but he takes a while before he says it. He says that eventually when Sophie doesn't show up in Fort Worth, they'll know something's wrong, but that's gonna take weeks, you know?
Yeah.
So he figures that anyone who seemingly controls these two apartment buildings specifically must be like a maintenance man or something similar, somebody with a master key. And just for a brief moment, I'm like, oh my God, it's the doorman who keeps bringing her the presents. I was wrong. But just for a second, I thought it was. So they go to City Hall maintenance center place. I don't know what you call it.
I called it the apartment company in my notes. I was
Oh, okay.
tired. So apartment
Okay.
company.
And the guy is more than happy to just give them every bit of information he has. He gives them the name Herbert Styles and lets them have full access to all of their records. I'm like, thanks,
Yeah.
guy. I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to do that, but we've got 12 minutes left. So,
And here's some cocaine while you look. So,
right. In fact, here's the key to his house. You want to go
yeah.
over there?
Here's a gun to shoot him with. So,
So, Paul goes back to the police because, they've been super helpful so far. And Lee says she's going to the station because she is nothing if not a professional. She's still going to work. Paul says he'll pick her up there later, but instead she goes to Herbert Styles' home.
because
Why?
she lies.
It does come back. Why she didn't take Paul with her, I'm sure I don't understand. Like, I believe in gender equality. I also believe my husband is a lot stronger than me and I feel safer when he's around.
And I believe my wife is much stronger than me and I feel safer when she's around. So
There you go,
there's
equality.
gender equality right there.
Um, Also, it's night when she does this. You just don't do it at night, for God's sake. She breaks into the house, but it's okay. She's armed with a very thin stone, and that's gonna take care of it.
She'll kill him. She'll kill him good with a rock or something.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
That is from the movie Kung Pao Enter the Fist. So we quote that often.
It's a great movie, and if you
It
don't
is.
think so, then you're wrong.
Yeah.
So she finds a bunch of blank excursions unlimited papers, plus the telescope and the tape recorder. She calls Paul and tells him that she's got him. He correctly tells her that she should leave. And she's like, no, no, it's cool. What are the odds he would come back to his own house? That would be crazy. And there's a really good shot here while she's on the phone that's also very reminiscent of Halloween. The windows, the blinds are open, and you see a guy walk past both windows, but like nothing really calls attention to it. You just have to see it. There's no sting music, which I appreciated. I love stuff like that. She tells Paul that she'll meet him at the station, but she has to do something first. So turns out the guy walking around outside was not Styles, it was the cab driver who jump scares her. She says she wants him to take her back home. When she gets back to her apartment, we get more POV shots, and this time they actually make sense since we're ratcheting up tension here. She's looking for the bug. You mean to tell me she didn't take it with her when she left earlier? Why would she leave that behind?
I don't know.
I would have taken that.
I
I
hadn't
mean,
thought about it,
that's,
but yeah, that would have been logical.
yeah, that's evidence. Anyway, while she's searching, the lights go out. Now is the time to run, but she doesn't at first. Eventually she does, but then the door won't open. I don't know how he did that. How does he lock the door? How does he lock them both inside?
I don't know,
I
except he's the maintenance guy. They're kind of magical, I guess.
Fair enough. So this scene is really well shot, I think. My heart was pounding a little bit. She finds a typed suicide note supposedly from herself on her coffee table. So we're back to the Elizabeth story. She calls out to him to just face her already, which is very brave, but I wouldn't be standing right in front of the balcony like she is, personally. She goes for the phone, that's been disabled. So she breaks the balcony window and starts screaming for help and that there's a murderer in her apartment. And finally, he jumps out at her and they start to fight. He gets her over the railing, but she's like holding on for dear life. She eventually grabs a shard of glass from the broken window and stabs him in the back with it. He kind of backs up. She pulled herself up, and then he goes back forward and tumbles over the railing. So he's very dead now. And she smiles because it's over. And when I mean it's over, I mean it's over. Credits right there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
there's a freeze frame and everything. I'm like, no reunion with Paul? No discovering what happened to Sophie's body?
Does she really need Paul anymore?
No Detective Hunt saying, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you and you were right?
Nah.
Whatever. The killer's dead. We're done here.
Yeah. And that was the movie. So,
That was the movie.
oh, well, Tabitha, do you think that I saw this when it aired originally? Had I seen it since then, or is this the first time I have watched it?
I think this is the first time you watched it.
No, this is the second time I have watched this.
Okay.
I didn't see the original showing, but I saw it a few years later on Channel 11, I think it was, when they
Okay.
would do movies at night. And, oh, and I did not realize that that was the name of the movie until I saw it. I didn't remember much, but I remembered
Mhm.
certain. I've seen this before. I've seen this before. So pretty cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
Classic or a trash it?
Oh, this is a classic. I really enjoyed this one. You?
I, I like it. It could have been better.
Sure.
Um, there are some plot holes, and one of the things that I really admire, one of my favorite horror films is Halloween, which was done right after this movie. One of the things that I admire about Halloween, even though it's kind of a technically a slasher movie, even though there's not a whole lot of slashing involved, what I love about the movie, what John Carpenter did with that movie, is that all the steps that the Jamie Lee Curtis character does makes sense. She's
Mm-hmm.
not running behind the chainsaws. Let's go hide in the cemetery, stuff like that. She does what a normal person would do trying to save their own life. And in this, there were elements of that, but then there were sometimes there were things that were illogical, like going to the maintenance guy's house at night. I'm thinking, John, put her there during the day.
Yeah.
That's what I like about you. You make things make sense.
Hmm.
You make New York into a penitentiary, and I actually believed it. So
Yeah. No,
Escape,
I agree with you.
Escape from New York was partially filmed in St. Louis, by the way.
No kidding.
No, no kidding.
I actually didn't
Yes,
realize that.
yeah.
Um, you're right. There are some illogical things that she does, but overall, I actually really like the character of Lee. I think she showed a lot of personality, and she's not just a cipher, as I feel like a lot of women in these movies are, in like little thrillers. They're just there to be terrorized. So I like that she had some more to her.
I liked her work, and I liked Adrienne Barbeau's work.
Hmm.
No problem with that. But this may have been, and I haven't seen everything David Burney's done. This may have been some of his best work. He did a really good job being steady, a moral compass, and a heroic figure without being overly heroic. And
I
I really
agree.
like that character, the way it was set up and the way he portrayed him. I did
Yeah,
not like Hunt. I thought he went overboard in being a jerk. Um, I thought when in his scenes, it was almost cringeworthy because he was doing it a little too over the top, I guess you could say. But I like the
hmm,
movie. I would suggest that, if you want to see a good thriller with a little bit of horror in it, this is a great film to watch.
yeah. This was actually considered to be the lost Carpenter film for a long time. Uh, Mondo and I had a hard time getting a hold of it for a while, but I'm glad it's readily available now.
All right. Well, very good.
So, what are we doing next week?
Oh, I'm doing my first horror. By the way, The Last Dinosaur, I don't consider a horror film.
You weren't scared?
I was, but that's me. Uh, I am doing Dark Knight of the Scarecrow next
Oh,
week.
good one.
Oh, you've seen it. Okay, good. Charles Durning, and one of the few movies that you actually get to see Marlon Brando's mother in because she was a character actor, and I think this may have been her last movie. So pretty cool.
Which is she the mother?
Yeah, the
The
old lady.
Oh, I did not know that. That's awesome.
No,
Well, I'm excited.
she was one of the men. So,
She was the scarecrow, yes?
yeah, yeah. So,
Well, I'm excited to watch that one again. It's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm excited for that.
well, very good. Well, Tabitha, you have a good week,
You
and I
too.
will see you next Sunday, okay?
Okay.
And we will see you next Monday or sometime, whenever you watch us, we'll see you. These
We'll
are
we'll see
times.
you sometime.
There you go. All right.